name's Alex Ward, and I started training with my husband Tom Ward, and we run Tom Ward Racing together. And I initially rode out in the morning and was in the office in the afternoon, but then we fell pregnant with our daughter, Ava, who's 3, and then George, who's now 1. And my role shifted because of taking care of them. I now work more in the office, and I had that lovely choice that I could do that. Not everyone has that choice or chooses to do that, and therefore this program really gives you the opportunity to get yourself ready to get back in the saddle. And that's what I'm doing now, because I am ready to get back in the saddle. I think this program isn't just for women that are thinking about getting pregnant. I think this is just for women generally coming into racing, understanding that this is a sport and a career that you can have for your whole life rather than just pre-children. And knowing that when you do decide to have children, that there's support behind you, and that yes, you can return to work. Maybe a few tweaks need to be made, but it's possible. And I think it's a great initiative. When I fell pregnant with my first, I was excited but slightly panicked. My body was about to change. I was going to have to change my routine, stop riding. Having the support from this physio program has definitely made me feel as though the racing industry has opened their arms to me as a mother. And I'm part of the team. I'm not just an employee in racing. Anyone can come here and get exercise, improve their fitness and their well-being. So therefore, I do feel more part of the racing family than I did before. So Ava's 3, George is just over 1. They're very, very lucky growing up on a racing yard because they can see the animals, see the horses, see all the members of staff that come and go, and it's a nice way of life for them.
I am Tom Ward, and I am a racehorse trainer. We had our 2 children during our time at training here in our first few years, and she worked very hard throughout the whole process, but it was particularly hard obviously at times when the child was in need for help. But she managed to keep her finger on the pulse most of the time through the whole process. But generally it's quite tricky when they have to be at home with the child for so long that they can't afford to be at work, which obviously maternity leave is for that. Yeah, look, I think it's helped her a lot because it's allowed her to talk to people in the sport who've in similar sort of scenarios. She's slightly different in the fact that she's been working throughout. A certain woman who've had to take time off maternity leave, which has allowed them to spend plenty of time with their children, but also trying to come back into the sport has been easier because they've been able to talk to other women and discuss how to bring their job back to where they were. Obviously their bodies change, their fitness levels will change, but hopefully if they just build it up slowly, they can put themselves back in a better position. It just gives women an idea of what they can do if they want to come back into the sport. They don't necessarily have to go back to their old job roles. There are other opportunities in racing, so I think that's another aspect to it. We've been lucky. Obviously we had a few women here who've had children, and they've had their time off and they've come back basically into the same roles they had originally, and obviously we just had to make sure we were in constant communication as to how they were dealing with their increase in workload, having been off for X amount of time. So yeah, I think it's more of a discussion, and hopefully it opens up the doors to them coming back into the sport into similar roles or slightly different roles if they need to. They're huge, I think, purely on the basis that the workforce in the UK in horse racing is not at its greatest, and we need to obviously encourage people who are getting out for having children to come back if they can, but generally we need to keep people who are good at what they do in the sport if we can, because it's a very unique sport, and you have a unique requirement of skills to work in this sport, so we don't want to lose those people out of the game because they're a big part of what we do.